shit, I let me in the door. They done gave your boy a chance, now the youngin' finna blow. It's a shame finna put the game in the figure four. Youngin' first, I'm out that bottom.
Yo, welcome back to my channel. Before we get into it, make sure you like, subscribe, comment. You ain't gonna like, you gotta comment, but I do appreciate it if you did something. If you didn't, in this video, we're talking about Attack on Titan, but I'm particularly talking about Attack on Titan getting an anime original ending movie. So the idea of Attack on Titan getting an anime original ending movie has come back. And I haven't talked about Attack on Titan getting an anime original ending movie in quite some time. Like, literally, it's been 1 to 2 years. And the reason why I never talked about it again is because of the fact that I ended up realizing that it just cannot happen, especially with Mappa revealing what they was planning on doing the last couple of chapters for Attack on Titan. But like I said, the idea of Attack on Titan getting an anime original ending movie has come back, and I definitely was in denial of it. But once some of you all started to comment that you no longer believed in AoE, but instead believed in the AOM, which is the anime original movie, it definitely caught my attention. So I ended up doing something that I haven't done in a long time for Attack on Titan, which is do some research. The last time that I did research for Attack on Titan is when I was trying to figure out the whole time loop and different timeline thing. And I ended up being able to learn about Isayama's biggest inspiration, which is Love Love, and that majority of the things that happens in the story of Attack on Titan happens almost the exact same way that it happens in Love Love, but just with a little twist on it, especially when it comes to the dialogue. So like I said, I did some research regarding an anime original ending movie, and I couldn't find shit. The only thing that kept popping up regarding an anime original ending for Attack on Titan is my videos that I did a couple years ago. Now, I just recently came across a video that has some good evidence towards the idea of Attack on Titan getting an anime original ending movie, but I can't find that shit anymore. But I do remember a piece of evidence that stood out to me that actually convinced me into believing that us getting an anime original ending movie for Attack on Titan is actually fucking possible. And it's something that we already talked about before in the past, which is that Isayama loves his fucking numbers, such as the numbers 9, 3, and 13. And what Isayama loves to do the most with these numbers is to make connections to them. As we all know, the number 13 in Attack on Titan usually represents the 13-year curse of Ymir, which is how long a Titan shifter is able to live. Isayama foreshadows this with Eren waking up at the beginning of the manga from experiencing See Later Eren's last moments, which is Mikasa-san See Later. To show us that Eren experienced a death where he died from the 13-year curse of Ymir, Isayama has the number 13 under this particular page, and this particular page actually ends up being the only page that has a number under it, which is a way to show us that this particular page is important. Now, I'm pretty sure that Isayama uses the number 13 in a lot of more other ways, but I would say that he uses the number 9 a lot more than he uses the number 13. Now, the number 9 in Attack on Titan usually represents the 9 Titans. One way that Isayama foreshadows this is by having the tree that Eren wakes up under only have 9 branches, which obviously represents the 9 Titans. And knowing that Norse mythology is one of Isayama's biggest inspirations, and knowing that the world tree has 9 branches that connect to the 9 realms, with Eren's tree having 9 branches, it could have been foreshadowing that Eren's tree was something like the world tree, and with the Time Path's tree coming into play, you can basically make the connection that Eren's tree was going to eventually become the new Time Path's tree, which it did. Now, another way that Isayama uses the number 9 is after the fight against Zeke, Bertolt, and Reiner, there was only 9 members of the Scouts that returned back home alive. Another example is the first chapter to the manga for Attack on Titan coming out on the date 9/9/2009, and then a brand new chapter would come out on the 9th of every month. Now, when it comes to the number 3, I would say that Isayama uses the number 3 in a lot more ways than numbers 13 and 9. And every friend group in Attack on Titan has 3 members, which is most likely why Marcel got killed. Eren ends up only having 3 Titans, 3 walls protect Paradise Island, Ymir only has 3 kids, the Time Path's tree starts off with 3 branches, and I believe in the last chapter to the manga for Attack on Titan there was a 3-year time skip. But I also believe that the 3-year time skip was done for a different purpose. Knowing that Isayama's biggest inspiration for creating Attack on Titan is Love Love, at the end of Love Love Unlimited, the main character Takeru gets sent back in time 3 years later after 80% of humanity got destroyed, which was and still is some big evidence towards the idea that the beginning of the anime is a continuation to the ending to the manga. Now, Isayama loves the numbers 13, 9, and 3 so much to the point where his story actually ended on the number that consists of all 3, which is chapter 139, which represents the death of something but the beginning of something new, which obviously means the death of Eren but the new beginning for the aliens that live on Paradise Island. And with the number 140 representing freedom, that's obviously Isayama's way of trying to tell us that freedom was not achieved at the end of Attack on Titan. Another connection that Isayama recently made, this time using the number 10, is the 10-year Elise connection, which is Eren basically saying that he wanted Mikasa to have him at the front of her mind for 10 years at least. And this was obviously a connection towards the anime, knowing that Core 1 and Core 2 is airing in 2023, and that the very first episode for Attack on Titan aired in 2013, that makes 10 years. Now, one thing I've always noticed that Isayama loves to do with the numbers 13, 9, and 3 is that he always has a trailer to a season 4 Attack on Titan, or the first episode or the last episode air on one of those numbers. Isayama doing this consistently over the years has made it easy to predict whenever a trailer or the first episode to a season 4 Attack on Titan is going to come out. Me knowing this is what allowed me to predict that they was going to delay an episode back in Attack on Titan Final Season Part 2. I basically explained the reason as to why Attack on Titan Final Season Part 2 was airing on January the 9th. And judging by how many episodes Attack on Titan Final Season Part 2 had, it was basically on track to end a week before it could end on one of these numbers. So I said if they were to delay one of these episodes, most likely the 4th or 5th one, then Attack on Titan Final Season Part 2 would be on track to end on one of Isayama's favorite numbers. And that's exactly what ended up happening. Now, of course, it was delayed due to holiday purposes, but I'm pretty sure that Mappa aired Attack on Titan around that time just so that they had an excuse to delay an episode, just so that Attack on Titan Final Season Part 2 could end on one of Isayama's favorite numbers. Now, I say all of that to say this. Isayama obviously loves his numbers, and he obviously loves to make connections to them. The piece of evidence that stood out to me the most that actually convinced me into believing that an anime original indie movie is possible is the fact that Attack on Titan as a whole has 8 parts to it. You have Attack on Titan Season 1, Season 2, Season 3 of Part 1, Season 3 of Part 2, the Final Season Part 2, Core 1 and Core 2, which at this point they're just calling it Part 4. All together, that's 8 motherfucking parts that Attack on Titan has as a whole. That's crazy as fuck. And it's most definitely not a coincidence that it's that close to the number 9. Attack on Titan ending with 9 parts instead of 8 ends up becoming the same situation that Attack on Titan Final Season Part 2 had when it comes to them delaying an episode. Just so that particular episode or the last episode could air on one of Isayama's favorite numbers, which I believe was the 3rd. I really can't remember at this point. But Attack on Titan ending with 9 parts instead of 8 ends up becoming a why not situation. It's right there, why the fuck not? And of course, this 9th part would be AoE. Now let's say that this is the case, which is that they plan on having Attack on Titan end with 9 parts. It kind of makes you look at the final season a lot differently. It makes you look at their reasons as to why they've been weirdly splitting the final season to Attack on Titan up like this. Because if you want to be honest, there's no reason to be having a Core 1 or Core 2. It should just be Attack on Titan Final Season Part 3. You want to know why? Core 1 and Core 2 is coming out in the same year. They literally could have just waited until the end of the year and just put both of them out together. But no, they split this shit up. Now, we're thinking that they're trying to fucking milk it all for their fucking money and shit. But in all actuality, maybe Isayama just want Attack on Titan to end with 9 parts. Now, if this is the case, I don't think that Isayama planned Attack on Titan to end with 9 parts. I just think that it was something that he realized that he could do once the final season came around. Now, like I said, the 9th part to Attack on Titan would be AoE because of the fact that Core 2 would cover the rest of the chapters. And this 9th part would most likely be in the form of a movie because of the fact that we already have a lot of evidence that points towards it. As we all know, the AU cast is connected to the main story, and Isayama uses the AU cast to give more context on the characters and also the story itself. Because of what AU Armin says, you already get the idea that Isayama knows exactly how he ended his story. He knows that he gave us an ending where everything is not really wrapped up the way how it should be. And then going off of what AU Mikasa says, you already get the idea that Isayama pretty much intended to end his story like that. But then you look at what AU Eren says. He says that I had a really good time watching the movie with you guys. If there's a next one, we should go see it together again. Now, what we have to keep in mind is that AU Armin pretty much represents us, and AU Mikasa represents the people that like the ending. But we have to keep in mind that AU Eren is Isayama. I do believe that Isayama once said that he is Eren, like a part of him is in Eren. So knowing that AU Eren is Isayama, and what AU Eren says is pretty much how Isayama feels about the whole situation, Isayama pretty much is trying to put an end to our arguments on whether or not the ending is done correctly by just saying calm down. If it's another one, let's watch it together, and then we can fucking talk. But the thing is, what would this second movie be? The fucking anime, but more specifically, AoE. But actually in the form of a fucking movie. Now the thing is, I could take all of this a step further. Let's say that AoE happens, and also in the form of a movie. Knowing that Isayama connected his AU side story to the manga, and also knowing that the anime could be the continuation to the ending to the manga, I'm pretty sure that when AoE happens in the form of a movie, he's going to connect his AU side story to AoE, just like how he connected his AU side story to the manga. But here's the twist. The AU side story that's going to be connected to AoE is going to be the continuation to the AU side story that was connected to the manga. Just like how the beginning of the anime could be the continuation to the ending to the manga. Now in this AU side story that's going to be connected to the anime, but more specifically connected to AoE, is going to be a little bit different. AU Armin, who represents us, and AU Mikasa, who represents the people that pretty much enjoyed the ending, they're going to have similar but also different opinions than what they had in the first AU side story. AU Armin, who's representing us, is going to say that he enjoyed the second movie way better than the first movie, and the second movie will obviously be AoE. But he also would say that he understands why things ended the way how it did in the first movie, which is the manga ending. Now, AU Mikasa, who represents the people that pretty much enjoyed the manga ending, is going to say that she didn't really like the second movie and that she liked the first movie better. And then she might say that she didn't like the way how everybody died in the second movie, or some shit like that. Now, this is going to obviously create an argument between AU Armin and Mikasa. And instead of them arguing about if the ending was done correctly like how they did in the first part, they would now be arguing about which ending is better, or which movie is better, which is exactly what the fuck we're going to do if AoE happens. But then AU Eren, aka Isayama, would say that he enjoyed watching both movies together. Now, don't that make fucking sense? Too much sense to the point where it's like, okay, it has to go down like that then. But the thing is, in order for all of this to happen, that would mean that we would have to get the manga ending for Core 2. If Isayama truly wants to copy the creator of Love Love, then that would mean that he has to show everything just so that he can explain everything and connect all of the endings. One thing that we have to remember is that Isayama is dealing with two audiences: anime onlys and manga readers. Because of the fact that Isayama is not only dealing with manga readers but also dealing with anime onlys, you can't just have the anime follow the manga up to a certain point, which is most likely chapter 138, and then it just diverge into something different. You can't just do that, especially if Isayama wants to connect all of the endings. So therefore, he has to show everything. Because if we are going to get a different ending, then everybody has to understand why we're getting one. So I think an anime original ending movie makes sense, especially if Isayama truly wants Attack on Titan to end with 9 parts. Like, I can see him doing some shit like that. But this is the end of the video. You ain't got like, you gotta comment, but I do appreciate it if you're just subbing if you're new, and I'm out, bro.
So what if the niggas make more? I knew my time would come and had to wait for it. So every night a nigga pray for it. Ain't no going back.